the good fortune of being here since this program's inception. I didn't miss last semester because I changed jobs and I forgot to give Tony my email address. Anyway, stuff like that happens, but I can't tell you how excited I am to be here. I want to thank all of you for being here this morning because the weather outside is nasty. It's like we went from nice fall weather to straight January and February. So, and it's tough after that horrible loss on Saturday. I mean, I was talking to my son on the way down here this morning. I'm like, man, it's brutal. So anyway, I've done a lot in my career. I live in Lexington, by the way. We've been here since 2000. I'm from Georgia originally, grew up on a farm. My son he's great. He graduates in December. Like he went through the same program you guys are. So it's been interesting kind of work with him and review his resume and all that kind of stuff. But you guys have really chosen a very prosperous career area. There's a lot of things out there, but information technology, you'll always have opportunities for a position or a role somewhere. The challenge is figuring out where to start, right? When I graduated, I went to Georgia, graduated, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. So that feeling of, oh my God, my parents are this, there's this enormous amount of pressure. That's normal. So don't worry about that. I know you will, but that's all part of the process and the journey of your career. So anyway, I'll talk a little bit about what I'm doing now. Started November 18th of last year, right before Thanksgiving, and then I'll go into some career advice and what have you. All right. Which one did?
The one on the right.
On the right. All right.
Got it.
All right. So Nasser gave a little bit of background on myself. I would hit me up on LinkedIn immediately. I'm here to help you guys, but don't be bashful. Right now I got business cards up here. If you have questions about an opportunity or career decision or resume help or whatever, hit me up. I'm a resource for you. All right. Don't be bashful. If you don't ask for help, you won't get help. Don't forget that. All right, a little bit about Alkira. So what we do is we're trying to change how users connect to applications, wherever they may sit in the world, users or apps, okay? And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we're really trying to help people make it easy to do global networking, all right? That's the best way to think about it, all right? We were founded in 2018. So the founders, you ever heard of SD-WAN? So Viptela was acquired by Cisco in 2017. And the founders so Viptela pioneered the SD-WAN marketplace, or that solution. The founders, when they sold to Cisco, they left about a year later and started Alkira. So our company has deep network expertise. So much so when I started, I'm like, oh my God, I am in over my ski tips. Think about that. I've been doing this a long time, decades. I was nervous. I was unsure. I'm like, what have I got myself into? Those are normal feelings. That means you're getting outside of your comfort zone and growing. Remember that. And Alkira stands for blue sky, which is the Aboriginal meaning. That's where the name came from. It's kind of an interesting data point. I don't know how they came up with that, but they did. So anyway, and by the way, what we're offering is network infrastructure as a service. So there's no hardware; it's all software, right? But you don't have to install any software. But our core competency and our IP is built around software, and I'll talk more about that. As far as our culture goes, I'll give you probably my number one thing for finding my next role. This is my fourth startup, by the way. I love building things. I'm not a guy that just likes to keep it going from an operational perspective. And I've been at my last company for 9 years, which is forever. And I'm a sales guy at the end of the day. And that's a long time. Most salespeople, they're changing roles every 2 or 3 years, it seems like, some less than that. And when you're interviewing for a new role, that tenure matters a lot. I mean, I have people constantly just coming at, wanting to do something. But anyway, when I was interviewing, I was talking to a guy that runs the West for us, and he was, culture was my number one thing. Number one thing. And the guy was like, let me give you an example about our culture here. So he's got a kid, he had braces, something got screwed up with his insurance, and he was gonna have to pay out of pocket like $6,000. Amir, our CEO, found out about it, like, no. And he's wrote him a check for $6,000. We didn't have to pay for it. Our company culture is the best I've seen of anywhere I've ever worked. We're a small company. We only have about 150 employees. But that just gives you an example of the executive leadership team at this company and how they care about their employees. And that's super important. And sometimes you'll be in companies that have a great culture, and sometimes you won't. That's just kind of how it goes. But as you go through your career, you will find opportunities to learn more about what to look for to make sure that your next move is built around a company that has the same values and the culture that you prefer. And it's not that one's better or worse than the other. It's just what you prefer, And there's pros and cons to everything, as we all know. If you haven't figured that out yet, I guarantee you, death and taxes are guaranteed, and so is that. So, all right, our market position. I was thinking about this slide, and it's somewhat difficult for you guys because in these bubbles, there's a lot of vendors or company names. But these are all major players in the industry. I mean, super powerful, large players. And I'll point out this company, Equinix, years ago, they got into the data center business where they would build what's called a co-location. So instead of a company having to build and maintain and operate their own data centers, they would build a data center for companies to use, and the companies would just carve out racks of space and pay a monthly fee for, network, ping, power, and cooling. Network, cooling, and power. How many racks you need, and they carve it off. They actually put a physical fence in the data center around your stuff. So physical security obviously is super important. They dominated that market. And what they did is not only, so they started out as a colo data center play, but as the cloud started to really take off, they also were the cloud ramp for companies to get to the cloud providers. They're a big player in that space, but our software completely virtualizes what they do in their data centers. It's kind of that's why I use that example. But we're all about the cloud from a networking perspective, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. We're based out of San Jose, as Nasser mentioned. Talked about the fact we're founded in 2018. We're backed by some of the biggest investors. Sequoia is probably one of the who's who in the zoo from a VC perspective. We've got to date, I think, about 100. Does it say on here? It does not say. About 175 million in funding. Series C. Typically with funding startups, you have a seed round like stealth mode. Then you have your first round, which is Series A. Your second round is Series B. Your third round is Series D, and so forth. If you haven't heard of that, that's what's going on there. And you try not to take on more rounds of funding because it dilutes the value of the company from a shareholder perspective. Because you got more money, you got to, invest more shares. One of the key things about our strategy is we did not want to reinvent the wheel for everything. So we partner, this is just a sample here. We try to take what a customer or enterprise has already invested in from a technology perspective and leverage that with our solution. There's other players out there that don't do that. They want to replace some of these guys. That's not our approach. All right, a little bit about the platform. I'm just going to go ahead and build this out. All right, so I use this slide when I'm talking to somebody for the first time. And if you look on the left-hand side, what it's showing you is I've got users. They could be in a branch if you're a bank. It could be a remote site. It could be a laboratory. It might even be a user coming in over SD-WAN or VPN or whatever. So what we do is we try to take the users wherever they sit and connect them to the applications wherever they may sit in the world. That could be in a data center, if you see on the right-hand side of the slide. It could be a cloud, an application that runs in GCP, AWS, Azure, or OCI, Oracle. Or it could be a SaaS app. There's a ton of SaaS applications out there. I think Blackboard now, you guys 20 years ago, you hosted Blackboard here in your data center. Now it's all SaaS-based, if I'm not mistaken. You know, so a lot of companies have gone to that SaaS model because of the cloud and what it was able to offer folks. So anyway, what we do is we take, if you think about, I think there's 138 data centers globally between all the different cloud providers, and they have the most robust, high performant, and available scalable network on the planet. They have a ton of capacity. And we said, hey, we're never going to we're never going to build a better mousetrap from a hardware perspective. So what we do is we stand on the shoulders of all the cloud providers globally and all the network infrastructure and investments they've made. Our software sits on top of that, and that's where the magic happens. So we're decoupling all the nuances between the different cloud providers. So the way you do networking in GCP versus how you do it in Azure versus how you do it in AWS versus how you do it in Oracle, they're all very, very different. And there's lots of different restrictions from firewalling capabilities to, route limitations and all this stuff. So what we do is, and when we started, our first, use case, the problem we're trying to solve was multi-cloud network. So we give you one way to do networking across all these different cloud providers. And we can take and connect a workload in Azure to a workload in GCP. And how we do that, if you see those hexagon shapes, those are called cloud exchange points. Think of them as like a virtual colo. So I was talking about Equinix earlier. Those CXPs are like a virtual colo. And inside of that CXP is how we do all of our magic. It's really nothing more than dozens of routers. And they sit in 2 availability zones. So when the AWS, you guys hear about the AWS outage last week? We were not impacted at all, because of the resilience architecture that we have. So, 2 availability zones means you're in different, US 1 East and US East 3 or whatever. So not only, and the other thing to think about, a lot of companies have to connect to third-party B2B people, so they have to exchange data for whatever reason. That's another great use case for us. So it's multi-cloud networking, global backbone, colo replacement, firewall insertion. I'll talk about that in a minute. But does that make sense so far? I mean, it's just software that does, we don't do any networking inside the data center. It's all the other stuff. And we give you the easy button. It's one way to do it all. It takes about 2 hours to stand up a CXP. Does anybody guess how long it takes to stand up a colo in Equinix? Exactly, months. You know how much money it costs? 5 to 10 million just to get out of the gate. It's a massive investment. So we can do it faster and cheaper, a lot cheaper, orders of magnitude cheaper, and orders of magnitude faster. And then we just give you a portal to manage it all. So we can consolidate the connectivity. And then what gets really interesting, and this is why security teams love it, so we can also consolidate your network and security services. So your firewalls, anybody ever heard of Infoblox? How about DNS? Oh yeah. Guess what the outage was caused by at AWS last week? DNS. DNS is the silent killer. It can't be DNS. There's no way. Oh, it was DNS. So Infoblox and Blue Cat, they're kind of the 2 predominant providers. It's called DDI. It's kind of the framework they leverage from an industry term perspective. But they're a big DNS player. So, we can consolidate your firewalls. So you can run your firewalls right into CXP. You can run your Infoblox right into CXP. You can run your F5 load balancer. Does anybody know what a load balancer is? Have y'all learned that yet? Yeah, F5. You can run your F5s, your Zscaler for Edge, ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Architecture. You know what that is? Yeah. Zscaler, Akamai is another one. All the firewall providers, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Fortinet, Cisco. So now we can consolidate your connectivity, and we can consolidate your firewall and security services. So it's taken really the labor and toil it takes to manage, operate, configure, design global networks at scale, and just made it super simple. That's what we do. And it's, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm blown away by what we can do. I'm working on a project right now. We're going to consolidate 8 colos around the world, saving just the amount of hardware they're getting rid of is thousands and thousands of firewalls. is crazy, but the business impact is huge. So it's super exciting. Networking is really important. By the way, I'll ask that question in a minute. Any questions on this stuff? We good? All right. Was there anything else I want to say here? All right. So I was just talking about consolidating connectivity and services. I don't know if you can see this big enough. So this is pictorially showing you what I just described to you. So on the top left, you got a bunch of stuff, colos, and it's just a bunch of connections, investments, points of presence, all that. On the right is all the stuff going in the cloud. I think I have a point on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Where's the cat at? So this is talking about consolidating colos here. And you've got your different connections, but you know, this is more a traditional approach. And by the way, anybody ever heard of MPLS? It was the original way to connect a remote site back to the data center. But all the applications ran in a data center. It's been around for 20 years, but that was the first thing. Very rigid, long procurement times to get it deployed, 3 months at a minimum. And on the right is all the stuff that's going on in the cloud. And it's very, very busy. You know, the idea here is to show you how complex and busy the traditional colo model is, as well as the traditional cloud connectivity model from a network perspective, and then kind of show you and compare it to what Alkira does. Pictures say 1,000 words. That's what we're trying to demonstrate here. Is to just say, hey, we give you one way, we can do it all, consolidate your connectivity and consolidate your network and security. Make sense? Any questions? Have you guys seen anything like this before, or kind of new for the first time? All right, good. You're running something. That's what we like to do. All right. So the left is our key use cases. I've already talked a lot about this. But I've not seen a solution that I've been able to take to market that can drive cost and complexity out of their, you know, prospects' current environment like we can today. I've been blown away by it. The only thing I can equate it to, and I mentioned this to you, Tony, was you know, VMware was way before VMware came in, what, 02? Long time ago. But I knew somebody right here, I can say it because so Scana, the old power company that Dominion, you know, it's Dominion now. So Scana, they had, I think, around 4,000 or 5,000 physical servers in their data center. And with VMware, they took it down to 800. I mean, VMware totally transformed an industry. And that's kind of what we're doing here from a global networking perspective. It's probably the best example. Unfortunately, you weren't around when VMware was here, but for us old dogs, we remember it very well because it totally transformed the industry. And I think Alkira's got the potential to do that for networking or wide area. I've got several folks I'm engaged with right now that's all around. They're calling them network modernization projects or WAN 2.0. Those seem to be the terms of the day. Anyway, I'll tell you what's cool about Coke. Anybody ever heard of Coke? They're out of Kansas or Nebraska, somewhere there. They're in a lot of different verticals, industries. They were down the path with, I think it was here. Yeah. Anyway, they'd done AWS. They went to go to Azure. It was going to take them. They said, "Oh, we can probably do it in a couple of months. We've already done Alkira with AWS." Turns out it was going to take about 8 months. Like, hold on, we need to get Alkira involved. So, in an afternoon in a conference room, in about 6 hours, they had all the networking stuff done in Azure with our solution. So it's just the speed and quickness. But they're a great customer of ours. All right. Let's get into what you guys really want to talk about. I would check our careers page. The internship positions will just pop up from time to time. This is the URL. So just, you know, it's pretty straightforward from here. This is probably 2 weeks old. I don't know if it's changed, but this gives you an idea of what we're hiring for right now. I'm sorry, I'm over here so much, but I'm afraid I'm gonna trip over this cord, so. But this kind of gives you an idea of, like I said, what we're hiring for. We do have, I know we're hiring for, BDR, which is business development representative, so it's kind of a cold calling model. You know, if you're interested in sales at some point. But I'll just keep checking back here because it's updated. And we start our fiscal year ends January 31st. So we start our new fiscal year. It's not calendar based. It's kind of weird. It's February 1st of next year through January 31st of the following year. We're doing a lot of, planning for next year. So just keep checking. This would be my advice there. All right. How many in here knows what you want to do for your first job? Any idea? Kind of like a few things, maybe. All right, I get a lot more head nods. And I've learned this with going through my son, because he's, like I said, he graduates in December. The most important thing you can do is just get in the game. I know you want to go somewhere, which is great, but just get in the game. Because it's so competitive out there. And, you're not gonna, I'm not saying you won't. It's very hard to get your first job and be exactly what you want to be. And a lot of times you don't even know. Like when I graduated, I had no idea what I wanted to do. For me, when I was at Georgia, I paid my way through school. I was a commercial electrician's helper and a commercial form carpenter and a commercial GC grunt dude. So I had a lot of, trade skills in my background, and I took my power background and moved to Rhode Island. I'd never been, South Georgia boy, grew up on a farm. I went to New England. I'd never put all my stuff in my little two-door Datsun 210 Essentra and headed to Rhode Island. Didn't know a soul. I had a piece of paper with a phone number on it. We didn't have cell phones back then. Don't be afraid to go where it is. Like I think Weston wants to kind of stay around here. He's got a girlfriend. I get that. Go where the opportunity is. The first 2 years will be the most important in your investment in your career. But just get in the game is my point. Don't get too choosy. Because, coming out of college, you don't have a lot on your resume. Hopefully you got an internship, you can put that on there. Hopefully you've been involved in some organizations. But just get in the game. I mean, I'd go shovel poop in a horse barn if I had to. I didn't care. And that's why, it's all about the hustle. I can't stress that enough. But first and foremost is be curious. I'm a super curious individual. I want to know how stuff works, what makes it tick. I don't watch any shows, any series. I spend a lot of time on YouTube watching how just anything to learn. I'm a constant sponge, even this day. That's all I do every night. My wife goes to bed at 9:30. I sit there for an hour or so and I read and watch videos on stuff. Rebuilding car engines. I mean, just anything, like last week I was watching a video on how does anybody know how the automatic transmission works, honestly? It's crazy, and I was like, I want to know how this thing works, but mine's screwing up. And that's why I'm like, why is this thing doing this? But number one is be curious, number two, I can't, I mentioned this a second ago, but it's all about the hustle. It's, you've got to go get it. You can't wait for it to come to you. And then third is obviously, humility is so critical these days. You don't want to be a jerk, and you're going to be in situations where there's going to be, stuff happening. That's part of life, so. All right. Failing is the most powerful thing you can do to advance your career, in my opinion. You want to fail fast. I can't, I look back over my career and man, have I screwed some stuff up. I used to be a seller. So my thing was, when I went to Rhode Island, I was customer service rep, answering the phones, and I was the first person they hired without an engineering degree. if you're in sales, marketing, anywhere, you had to have an engineer. So I graduated Georgia, went back to school in Atlanta for electrical engineering degree. And I was going to school reporter co-op, I went up there to work and come back and go to school. I got up there, got on full time and never finished my double A. But I was just answering the phones. And then I said, okay. And I always wanted to do sales. And I had a decision to go into inside sales or tech support. Guess where I went? Absolutely. Curious. I said, if I can understand how this stuff works, I can better position it with people I'm trying to help. But anyway, I discovered Unix. Who in here knows Linux or Unix? I was the worst student in high school. I was the worst student in college. Guess what my major was at Georgia? I was a housing major. Anybody know what that is? Everybody's looking at me like, "Whoa." I got a Bachelor of Science in Family and Consumer Economics with a housing major. It was the easiest major I could find at Georgia at the time. I just wanted to get out. I hated it. But when I got to Rhode Island and went to tech support, I discovered Unix. And I taught myself Unix. It was the first thing ever in my entire life that just came natural. And Unix is hard. It's not easy. Most people look at Unix like, "Whoa," but I loved it. It was the first thing I found. It's like this light bulb moment in my life. So anyway, you never know how things are going to progress, but just some notes here. Be brave enough to suck at something. If the way you learn things was the hard way, everything gets easier as life goes on. Don't try to be good at something. Figure out what you're good at and be the best at that thing, whatever it is. That is super. That's a secret to really accelerating your career. So every time I've changed roles, I hope I can remember this. There's three things that I always look for when I look at a new job. One, is it going to take me outside my comfort zone? Am I going to be better off having done this and failed than not tried at all? And how well is this going to prepare me for whatever's next, whatever that is? If I can't check those three boxes when I change positions, then it's not for me. And I've really accelerated my career by doing that. Okay. And there's things I thought I was good at, but I wasn't great at. I'm really, really good at what I do now. Really good. And what I'm really, really good at, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I'm a builder. Give me the hardest thing on the planet to do, I'm your guy. I will run to that thing head on, fearlessly, not knowing any answers to anything, but I'll figure it out. That's what I'm good at. And I just happened to figure that out at some point in my career. So that's what I'm trying to say here is be the best at that thing, whatever it is. Just keep working through your career and try to figure it out. This is also super important. Writing, social platforms or otherwise, is never a replacement for targeted conversations. How many times have you heard it's not what you know, it's who you know? Right? Oh, but true. Anybody want to take a guess at how many contacts I have on my cell phone? Yeah. That's way low, by the way. Huh? 8,068. I always tell people, I'm not here to work. I'm here to network. Don't ever be afraid to introduce yourself to a complete stranger. If you you never know who you're going to meet. I can't tell you how many times I've met somebody. I was like, you kind of write them off. We've all been guilty of that, by gosh, a year later, that joker, I was in a bind. I remember I met this person over here, and I called him up. Yeah, man, what you need? I'll help you out. You never know. Don't ever write anybody off. But that is the secret, not only in, because I'm a sales guy. So obviously I'm going to have a lot of contacts. But the premise of that statement, doesn't matter what your career is, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Don't ever forget that. So you got to constantly be putting yourself out there. I know that's hard. Because me, I'm an engineer and I'm an introvert and an extrovert, which is really kind of a strange combination. I have a strong technical background, but also have a very outward, I'm in front of people all the time, you know? And it's hard. So just find your balance and your happy place on that. Failure to plan is a plan for failure. Always be organized. Think about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to say. You know, I prepare for this every time I come up here, you know? You always have, you can never over prepare.
And I want to piggyback on that, because you're gonna run into supervisors want to fail, and they want to fail fast. And what I mean by that, it's like, sort of like Elon Musk. He'll send rockets up all the time, and they'll say, oh, it crashed, and it'd be great, I know what's wrong with it now. He'll send up another one, and it crashes. But he's learning faster from the failure than he is actually trying to get it right perfect the first time. And he's wanting to figure that out. But there's a lot of bosses that think like that. Like, I just want something in a day, or I want something in 3 days, or whatever. Just give me whatever, and I'll say, yes, I like this, or no, I don't like it. Because even my daughter who's in graphics, they're trying to come up with models of what's this brand, or what's this look like. They say, just send me something so I can say, yes, I like this, and I don't like that, and then go with this side. But they don't want to wait till you come up with the holy grail thing. I worked on this for 2 months, here it is. They'll say, no, I don't like it. So fail fast.
Yeah. Has anybody read or followed Elon Musk and how he got started building rockets? It's probably the most fascinating thing I've ever read in my entire life. So my ask of all of you, your takeaway is to go research how Elon Musk built rockets. It will blow you away. And I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to spoil it for you. It is absolutely fascinating. That guy is our modern day Einstein. You're living through an Einstein-like person in Elon Musk. That's my personal opinion. He's that kind of savant. So thank you for saying that, by the way. All right. Good things come to those who believe, better things come to those who are patient, and the best things come to those who don't give up. Your journey is it's gonna be hard, and then I'm gonna close with a video here in a second. But it's never gonna be easy. Yeah, sure. I think that's the last one. Yeah, that is. It's never gonna be easy. And you may start your career, you know, in one area, and in 2 years, you're completely saying, wow, I tried this, I hated it. I was miserable. But I got exposed to these things. I want to go try this. Keep trying different things out till you find your happy place. But you've got to get really, really good at doing the hard things. And I always say, you got to embrace the suck, because it's going to suck. You know, and some of us are better at doing that than others. But I'm trying to share with you some real reality, so you're not surprised. Because if you do all that, you're gonna have a wildly successful career and journey as you go through life. And if you're miserable, get out. Don't ever feel like, oh, if I just do this one thing, it's gonna get better. And you do that thing, and if it sucks, move. You failed, move. You know, not you personally, but that situation was a failure for you and what you want to do and what you believe in. For whatever reason, it could be a bad boss. It doesn't matter, you know. But just get out. Go do something different. And the first 3 to 5 years of your career is a time to move far away from home. Get out there. Go do this. Go do that. Because 5 years in the big scheme is like 5 minutes. It will go by so fast. Okay. And you'll look back and be like, wow, look what happened. I found my spot. And it was 5 years, but God, it feels like 5 minutes. So, you want to play that?
Yeah, and you want to tell them what we're queuing up and who
All
this
right.
is?
So this is Kara Lawson. She's the head basketball coach, Duke, women's basketball. Y'all seen this by chance? It's probably my most favorite thing to share with people. She nails it. She absolutely nails it. And I get chills every time listening to her play, you know, when she said this. So
Ready?
press play.
Yeah.
A couple days ago. And one of the things which we talked about was how we all wait in life for things to get easier. think in your own life, if you waited for something to get easier. Oh, I just gotta get through this, and then it'll be easy. I just gotta get through preseason, and then, you know, I just gotta get through my junior year of high school, and then classes are gonna get easier. I just gotta get to my spring, my senior year of college, and it's gonna be easier. It's what we did, wait for stuff to get easier. It will never get easier. What happens is you handle hard better. That's what happens. Most people think that it's going to get easier. Life is gonna get easier, basketball's gonna get easier, school's gonna get easier. It never gets easier. What happens is you become someone that handles hard stuff better. So that's a mental shift that has to occur in each of your brains. It has to. Because if you go around waiting for stuff to get easier in life, it's never gonna happen. And then what happens? Oh, it's so hard. Oh, I can't do it. Oh, this, I don't know when is it gonna be easy for me? Oh, it's easy for other people. It's not. It's hard. And the second we see you handling stuff, handling hard better, what are we gonna do? We're gonna make it hard. We're gonna make it hard. Because we're preparing for you for when you leave here. Not just basketball and life. And if you think life, when you leave college, is gonna all of a sudden get easy because you graduated and you got a new degree, it's not gonna get easy. It's gonna get harder. So make yourself a person that handles hard well. Not someone that's waiting for the easy. Because if you have a meaningful pursuit in life, it will never be easy. You're trying to win a championship. You're trying to have a family. Ask your parents. Do you think it was ever easy for them to raise kids? Parents, is it easy? It's not. Any meaningful pursuit in life, if you want to be successful at it, it goes to the people that handle hard well. Those are the people that get the stuff they want. People that wait around for easy, you probably see them at the bus stop. They're waiting for easy. The easy bus come around. Easy bus never comes around. Got to handle hard. Okay, so don't get discouraged through this time. If it's hard, don't get discouraged. It's supposed to be. And don't wait for it to be, oh, I just gotta get through the summer. And then it'll all of a sudden get easy in the fall. No, it won't. It won't. It won't be easy in the fall. So make yourself someone that handles hard well. And then whatever comes out, you're gonna be great. You're gonna be great, okay?
Does that make sense? So when you get good at handling hard things better, things are a little easier. You know what I mean? But it's a hard thing to get your head around. Trust me. I've been sitting right where all of you are at one point in my life. And right now, I remember when I graduated from Georgia, I moved back home to the farm and I was absolutely miserable. I was living in Athens, Georgia, which is freaking fun as you know what. And I went back to Southeast Georgia. All my friends, I was miserable. I didn't know what I was going to do. So, you know, having that feeling is normal at this point in your life. So don't get too concerned about it. But the most important thing is what are you going to do about it? Right? So anyway, I appreciate y'all being here today. I know it's kind of yucky outside, but if you have any questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes. But I meant what I said when I started. If I can help any of you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, please reach out. Okay? You can text me on my cell phone and say, I'm so-and-so, I was in the class. You got 5 minutes, 10 minutes for a call. I got some questions. I need help with this. I'm thinking about doing this. Do you know any? I know a lot of people. Yeah, we all know a lot of people, but I'm saying if I can help you in your career, let me know. Okay. So I want to thank you. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Jake.
Appreciate it.